Hi everyone, and welcome to my first video tutorial. I'm Alina and I will show you how I make Japor snippets. The tools and materials that I will use, I will talk about them as I go, and I'll write more about them in the description. FIMO Soft packages are divided into 8 lines. For one pendant, I need 1.5 line. The conditioning part is usually the most boring, especially if the polymer clay is hard. So I always try to buy fresh polymer clay. Once the clay is soft enough, I make a rectangle out of it with the size of approximately 3 on 2.5 centimeters. I usually flatten it with a FIMO machine, but it would be a pain to film that, so I will use the roller. Okay. Instead of the roller, you can always use something else you have on hand, like a glass bottle. Just make sure it's clean. Okay. Once it's flat enough, like it has to be equal in size, then I cut it close to the size I talked about earlier, 2.5 centimeters on 3 centimeters. Okay. But a bit bigger though, because the surface of the Japor snippet is not flat, it's a little round from one side to the other, and in the process of getting that roundness, I lose a bit of material, so I make sure I have a little extra to work with from the beginning. To obtain that round surface, I press the sides with my finger, like this. It doesn't have to be super round, just a little bit. Okay. Once I get the roundness I want, I cut it in its final size. Three on 2.5, approximately. For the next step, I use the round cutter to make those specific indents on the sides. I make the cut 2 or 3 millimeters in, something like this. You can use a cookie cutter or anything else with this shape. I lost my actual cutter and now I'm trying to improvise. Okay. Next is adding the details. In this pendant there are around 5 types of details. Some are symmetrically placed and some are not. I will use the ball tool to add the details with the little ball. Let's go a little closer. Okay. I start with a rectangle in center, which is a bit smaller than 1 centimeter in length. Then there are the curvy lines on the sides. They are pretty close to each other and parallel to each other. And they don't all have the same direction of the curves. Okay. Then there are two crosses, one on the bottom and one on the top. The one on the bottom is in the middle, and the one on the top is a bit to the right. Their lines are not equal. And then the last symbol, no, this is not the last one. There are those two little lines, small lines on the sides, and then there are the circles, a little circle, complete circle, in one bigger incomplete circle. So the one in the rectangle is a bit to the left. Then there is one here on top, one to the right under the parallel lines, and one next to the bottom cross. And there they are, the details. The last detail is the hole where the cord is gonna go through. It has to be a little wider than a round one because you'll need to put both ends of the cord through it. So I usually do it this way, just by using the ball tool. It's not the best way, but I got used to it, and I always have to cut a little bit here to make it straight again. Okay, so now we have our pendant with all the details on it, a bit round. We have to bake it. I bake it at 100 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Once it cooled down, we have to paint it. I apply 2 layers of paint, of dark brown paint. My hands get a bit shaky most of the times, so I don't try to do it perfectly anymore. I just put the paint there. And then I use sandpaper to remove the surplus. It is faster for me than to have it perfect from the beginning. Then I will add a second layer because just one layer of paint is not strong enough, in my opinion. I like it to be very visible. Of course, when I actually paint it, I'm not this fast. Then you let it dry and you give it a second layer of paint. Okay, you get it. I'm not gonna waste more time with this. Once all the paint is dry, I use sandpaper to get rid of the extra paint, and this is what I do. I try to use it only vertically, and I use sandpaper with bigger granulation because it leaves some nice discrete marks that give the pendant a more organic look. Okay, something like this. Okay, now I use a brush to get rid of all the dust. Okay, once I did that, I can varnish it. I do this more, so I do it more for the protection of the paint than for a glossy look. I don't like to give it glossy looks anymore. I did that at the beginning, but I don't do it anymore. So first I varnish the back and the top and bottom part. I let it dry, then once it dried, I varnish the front and the sides. Once the varnish dried too, I usually use as I said, matte or semi-glossy varnish, so it doesn't look much different from an unvarnished one, but at least I know the paint is protected. So once I've done that, I'm going to put this through. Come on. I don't have a scissor at hand, so I didn't cut the ends very well and they won't go in, so I did it the other way. Now we have a nice little pendant. And because I don't like locks, metal locks, I do 2 knots like this, one here and one here, and there you have an adjustable cord. I hope you'll find this video useful. In the description you'll find more details about materials and alternatives to some of the tools I used. I want to make more tutorials, so let me know in a comment what other stuff you want to make and don't know how to, and I will try to show you. Also, if you have any questions related to this video, please ask them in the comment section. One of the people who will comment with a future tutorial idea or a relevant question will win a Japor Snippet pendant. Thank you and good luck!